What's going on, Broncos country? AJ back here, and we got Broncos talk, and this obviously is going to be the last one before the game today. And speaking of which, I'll be live today. Now, I need to be clear on one thing with that. I've been saying that I'll be going live at about 2:10, 2:15 this afternoon. That's Mountain Time. So for those of you that are on East Coast time, it'll be 4:10, 4:15 Eastern time. So look forward to that wherever you are in the world. But either way, look forward to seeing y'all there. YouTube and Twitch, of course. A&J Network is where you want to be at for that. But nonetheless, we're gonna just talk a couple of details about the game upcoming, and of course, we got to talk about the Buffalo Bills. And the injury report actually has been a very, very interesting one the last week and a half or so, and really it's kind of crazy looking at it the way that it is because they're missing an awful lot of key pieces. It is confirmed that Maxwell Harrison as well as Jordan Poyer are not going to be suiting up for today's game, but in Poyer's place is going to be Damar Hamlin here. And of course, as we all remember, Damar Hamlin, the young man who suffered that, I guess, cardiac arrest out in Cincinnati a couple of years ago. And if nothing else, if there's anyone on the Bills that I do root for, it's certainly him, because to have gone through something like that and to come back as strong as he has, you don't see stories like that very often, if at all, to be perfectly honest. And it's going to be really interesting to see how he fits into things. I'm imagining he's going to play his heart out because, well, he's going to, I'm sorry, bad choice of words. He's going to play as if many things depend on it, and they do because obviously it's the playoffs. So I imagine he's going to do everything to put his best foot forward in this particular contest. But to me, it's going to be real interesting because I'm not necessarily sure if he's as good as Jordan Poyer in terms of just overall play. From what I've seen, he's decent in coverage, definitely good tackler when he needs to be. But beyond that, I'm not necessarily sure that I would say he's star level. He's still a reserve in that Buffalo secondary. Has started some games and acquitted himself well. But when we actually get things going and we see the playbook open up today, how is he going to hold up? I mean, he'll be there amongst other guys who I'm imagining will look to try to play, namely Ty Johnson, Ed Oliver, and Terrell Bernard, who were actually upgraded to questionable. We'll see how that works out. Those are obvious game time decisions, but this is going to help make that matchup that much more interesting again, especially as Sean Payton and the rest of the crew open the playbook up. We'll talk a little bit more here as we go along, but to me, I really feel like with the injuries they have on both sides of the ball, it's hard for me to believe that the Bills actually overcome that issue. But it's the playoffs, anything can happen. And of course, it is to be noted that the Bills are 2-0 against the Broncos in the playoffs, and of course, they're 11-1 when James Cook reaches 100 plus yards from scrimmage. I'm imagining we're going to see both of those things not come to fruition, but hey, again, it's the playoffs. Anything can and will happen. That being said, we actually got to talk about a couple of elevations that took place in the form of both Caleb Lohner and Elijah Moore. Now, Caleb Lohner here, obviously, our seventh round draft pick from this year's, or from the 2025 draft. I shouldn't say this year because it's 2026 now. But of course, he's a rookie who didn't see a whole lot of time this season. In fact, he's actually been something of a project for the Broncos, and given the fact that he's being elevated now, actually means something because clearly Sean Payton has plans for him, and it's going to be really interesting to see, especially given that Lucas Kroll has been ruled out, along with Drew Sanders, of course, which is obviously unfortunate, but I feel like we'll be all right regardless there. But focusing more on Kroll and, of course, Elijah Moore here, who, of course, is a former Buffalo Bill. That one's equally as interesting given the fact that he's actually come through to provide some significant intel regarding the Buffalo Bills. And apparently they spent some time in the meeting room talking about these things. So I feel as if, really and truly, right now, these two elevations are going to be the ones to watch. Obviously, we're going to look forward to what we get out of a Pat Bryant and RJ Harvey and really the rest of the crew that's been there for us. I would still expect Jaleel McLaughlin to hopefully get more of the snaps. I feel like that's got to realistically be the smarter move, being he is the more experienced back. Obviously, RJ is the Joker, and of course, he's the better overall player than RJ, but to me, or than Jaleel rather, but to me, I feel like Jaleel's got to see a lot more of the carries. And hell, if we could see some running from Bo as well, that would also be awesome. And speaking of Bo, we got to talk about him and Coach Payton again. I feel like today is the day that we see the playbook open up quite a bit more. And if for no other reason, Sean Payton has been really playing everything tight to the vest. I mean, I don't know of too many other coaches that have done it quite to the extent or quite like a Sean Payton has. So with all that being said, it's just going to be really interesting to see, especially again with the aforementioned elevations of both Lohner and Elijah Moore. I feel like we're going to see some things that we really haven't been seeing for throughout the entirety of the season. And honestly, I'm kind of hyped right now. I got a little bit of nervous energy, I will admit, but I am a little bit intrigued by a lot of these things, the way that they have unfolded, especially with a lot of the earlier woes offensively the Broncos have suffered. But it's also funny to me that a lot of people are still counting on that not being the case. Like, they really think that the first three quarters are going to be much of the same, which, I mean, let them think that all they want to. I mean, the disrespect has absolutely been real, and I feel like we're going to make a lot of people, including the Buffalo Bills, feel it today. And if for no other reason, it's just something to be said for being slept on as heavily as the Broncos have been, given that they are the number one seed in the AFC. And I can understand a lot of number one seeds haven't always been successful. And hell, we've had our woes as the number one seed in the past, but we've also had our successes as well. Namely, a couple of Super Bowls to show for it. But today's one of those days where I feel like, especially so long as the playbook is opened up, and I trust the defense more than anything else. Talanoa Hufanga and Dre Greenlaw, who have been absolute godsends for our defense and have made a huge difference for us in that area. I mean, what more is to be said? And not only that, number 2 rushing defense in the league, which I didn't even realize, but let's look at it like this. The Broncos have not allowed a 100-yard rusher since week 2 to Jonathan Taylor. Not even the Jags, the Chiefs, or even the Chargers in the last few weeks of the seasons, or the last few games of the season rather, were able to accomplish this. So to me, I feel like we're going to see Buffalo in for a bit of a surprise, especially where that's concerned. And we're going to look to hit them early and often, and I don't expect there to be any kind of let up today. I really don't. And there can't be, because even with all the injuries that the Bills are undergoing, they certainly aren't to be slept on any more so than what the Broncos have been. But I'm certainly looking forward to it. It's going to be a hell of a challenge, and I think it's going to be a really competitive game one way or another. But either way, let me know what y'all think down below. How are y'all feeling about the game today? And of course, if y'all enjoy the content, like, share, and subscribe. And this has been your time with A&J, and I thank you for spending it with me.